Alright, so this is a little game I'm trying to make. I'm calling it the hunting party. You have occupation cards. So this is an occupation card, this is one, and here's a few others. So you have a male version of the hunter, and there's a female version of the hunter. And you have a medic. There. And you have a scavenger. And like each card's really important. Like some of them are very important, and some of them, like I'd say, like a junker is really important because they're the only card that can build in items. Like so you can build weapons. A scavenger is really important because they're the only card that has the scrounge ability. So every time you get to a location, the scavenger can search it for items. And then the medic is really important because it can heal. But also, during the game, you have so many turns to finish it, and the cook is handy because he'll add supplies. And so if you run out of supplies, your guys will start to take health damage. So I'll start to explain the cards. This number up here is what you have to roll with a dice, a 6-sided dice, to determine the attack success rate. So like the hunter's really good at fighting, so her number here is a 2. So as long as you roll 2 or higher, she can attack. And then so he's a 4, so he's not very good at fighting. So you want to have some good fighters in your group. And yeah, so each card also has different abilities and stuff like that. And then these are your monster cards. And these will actually, so this stack would be random in the game. It's like randomly you get to a location and you flip over a monster card, and then that's which one you have to fight. So this one's zombies. You'd have to fight this one. Their success rate when they attack you is a 2. Their health is a 5. But if you use a gun or a weapon like that, more zombies will come out. And you roll dice, and if you roll a 6 on that dice, you pull out 6 zombies, and so you're dealing with 7 zombies instead of 1 if you use a gun. Or if you roll the zombie dice and you get a 3, then you're going to be dealing with 4 zombies instead of 1 because you used a gun. Just sort of like post-apocalypse saying, hey, if you use a gun, you're going to attract more zombies. Then there's some over here that are specific location monsters. So in the game, there's a capital city called Skyhook City. And if you go there, you'll have to deal with these guards. There's also another location where, you know what, let's keep that one a surprise. There's another location where you can get ambushed by these guys called riflemen. And then the ultimate point of the game and the story is that your post-apocalyptic city was attacked by werewolves, and so they sort of volunteer a group to go hunt werewolves. So of course you're gonna have to fight werewolves. This is the boss in the game, White Werewolf Asuna. She cycles her health twice before death. She has her mouth as a weapon and claws. So she rolls a 2 or higher. That's her attack success rate, right up here. And then after that, she's gonna roll 2 more dice. One's gonna be her mouth, and one's gonna be her claws. And a 3 or higher on that will be damage, and a 2 or higher on the claws will be damage. But she's got to hit 2 players. She can't just like stack all of her damage on 1 player. She's gonna have to go after 2 of them at once. Sort of, she'll be like, imagine a werewolf hopping around in a fight, messing people up. And she has helper werewolves too. So when you get to the boss fight, better be ready for it. These white werewolves aren't a joke. Let me see what else I can show you guys in here. You have black werewolves that you'll encounter in the game, and they have a less health than the white werewolves. Same weapons though, and same abilities. You also have vampires that you can encounter in the game. More zombies and more zombies, more vampires. There's homeless people in the game you can encounter, and you can either give them food or fight them. You can also encounter people who try to steal your stuff, like this group of guys armed with pipes. Also bowmen. More zombies and another werewolf and another werewolf. And zombies and vampires and guys with pipes and bowmen and zombies and men with pipes and bowmen and black werewolves. So that's all the monsters in the game. Except for 2 of them that I'm just going to keep a secret. So if anybody plays it, they won't be expecting it. Yeah, I guess I could go through the occupation cards. You have a monk here. This is this is also something else I call it a desperation thing. So anytime you try to do anything in the game, and if you fell on your roll, so like let's say you try to attack with this guy and you roll a 1, your desperation goes up. Once your desperation gets completely full, you succeed at whatever the next thing is you're trying to do, but then you roll and you take health damage. So that's something, a mechanism in this game that I made. What's his ability? You are the only occupation with a passive ability. The monk will have all damage, half all damage that a party ever receives from desperation rounded down. Cannot be less than 1. And he starts with a staff, and it's a 1/1 weapon. So this 1/1 means that he can roll it for offense and he can roll it for defense. Some weapons or items are just offensive, but he actually has one that's offensive and defensive. And this desperation thing I just described, heal half your party's damage for the whole game. You got a soldier here. His is a 2, his desperation is a 5. And it says here, you can roll twice for success of an attack or defense only if first attack or defense fails. If both attacks fail, desperation increases. A soldier starts with 1 rifle, 5 bullets, and you'd roll 3 dice for your damage, 1 knife, and 1 suit of full armor. So this suit of armor is a defensive item. Then you have this female version of the hunter. You can assist anyone else in the group in an attack or defense. If 3 or higher, any attack is increased by 2 points of damage and any damage received halved. So it's sort of like an offensive and a defensive mechanism. If 1 is rolled for assist, hunter botches other player's attack and increases desperation. So it's kind of it's a risk to try to assist another player, but if you succeed with it, it's good. If it's bad, it hurts you too on your desperation. And the hunter can only try to do the assist twice. And a hunter starts with 1 pistol with 6 bullets, 3 attack, and says here, 3 rolled. Oh, if you roll and let's say you get snake eyes on 5s or 6s, that indicates a headshot and causes instant death regardless of the opponent's health. And you have 1 large knife, 1 attack, and 1 walking stick for a defense. So that's what the hunter starts with. The male hunter is exactly the same. So you have a vagabond here, and it says on his, you have traveled the lands before and can recall brief facts about locations with a roll of 3 or higher. With a 6 roll, you recall secrets at a location if possible. You can recall once daily. And daily is pretty much a turn. Like every time you have a turn, that's considered a day in the game. And you even have nighttime in the game and daytime and stuff like that. Your bad roll increases your desperation. A vagabond starts with a sword. He has a 2 there. A sword sheath. This is actually the defensive item. So he can like block with his sword sheath and then swing with his actual sword. And he has 1 jug of alcohol, which has a 2-star. And I believe that is a healing item. I'd have to go through. I actually am working on the rule book too. So you have your cook here. He's not very good at fighting and he has desperation. You keep your team fed. You cook daily and negate all usage of supplies if 3 or higher is rolled. 1 attempt per day. If 1 is rolled, supply usage for a day is doubled and desperation increases. So I don't remember what this is in the rule books, but I think you start with so many supplies that the city starts you with on your werewolf hunt, and you can lose the game by your characters dying, of course, and also by running out of supplies. That'd be basically as if your group starves to death, and so kind of handy to have a cook in your group. And then it says here that 2 has no effect. So even if you roll a 2 and you don't succeed at his cooking, you don't get your supplies doubled or desperation increasing. And the cook starts with a rolling pin for an attack. So he's rolls 1 dice for his attack with a rolling pin, and he has 1 large pot lid for a defense. He's kind of the comical character in the group. Then you have your medic, and she can heal other players, and she can try to heal other players twice a day. 3 or higher is successful operation. Then you roll to see how much health is gained. If initial is 2 or lower, failure occurs, and a damage roll to patient occurs and desperation increases. This would be like a botched medical procedure or something like that. Like you try healing the other person, and if you fail, then they're actually going to take more damage. And you must have a medical item, and medical item is expended when heal is attempted. And your medic starts with 1 knife for an offensive item, 1 backpack, which is the defensive item, which I imagine, like, let's say she blocks something with her backpack, and then so that zombie bite or whatever isn't going to hit her. She starts with 2 gauzes, which are medical items, and 1 chest seal and 1 thing of antibiotics, and those are medical items. And then you have your scavenger, who's kind of important, and what she can do is You can scrounge an area for supplies. 3 or higher reveals the item at a location. 6 is high success. High success reveals rare items. It is up to the scavenger to share these items with the group or not. A failed roll increases desperation. You can scrounge once successfully per location. So like you can scrounge there, and once you're but if you're failing, like you can do it all the way up to your desperation thing. But I mean, and it says here, it's kind of cut off when I made these cards, but she looks like she starts with 1 attack item and something with a 2 defense. Forgot what the 2 defense item was, but unfortunately got cut off like right there at the bottom. But I can look in the rule book and see what it was. Bam, and then you got your junker. You are the brains, the bookworm, the wizard of knowledge. You can even build items. 1 attempt per day at each. Bad roll causes desperation. Your junker starts with 1 taser, which has a 2 attack, and a 10 or higher roll causes a knockout on the opponent or monster, or whatever it is. You have your 1 knife, which is a 1 attack item, and a jacket, which is a 1 defense item. And then he starts with this item right here called the Book of Items, and it'll be sort of like a manual where you have your items, and you go through there and you look at what items you've scrounged, and you can try to build that item in the game and give it to one of your other players, or if you want. And then you got the Bounty Hunter. He has the highest health in the game because he cycles his health twice before death. So he starts at 10. Once he gets down to 0 and dies, he goes right back up to 10 again, and then he has to get all the way back down. So it's sort of like he has 20 health, but I couldn't fit 20 on the card, so that's why he has this cycling mechanism. And he can roll for a dodge if 3 or higher, and then he can then roll for a defense. So he doesn't have a defensive item. In fact, one of the bad things about him is he can't carry any other items. The only item he can ever carry is a crossbow. And he is the only occupation that can never use defensive items or better offensive items. But the offensive item he has is a crossbow, and it's a 2-star, so that's actually pretty good, because I think like a rifle's a 3 and knives are a 1, so he's like average in the attack game. And then he has a good defensive thing of being able to dodge, and he has 20 health, so that kind of helps out too for him. And then also another mechanism in the game would be, I forgot what it was called. I think it was called like player secrets. But what I was going to do was like, so people in the teams, they pick their characters or whatever. Then the backs will say character secrets, and they have to draw 2 of those. And whatever those 2 are, they get stacked behind their card. And those are the secrets. So like, one example could be like your character is an alcoholic. So every time you get to a location, your character uses twice as many supplies or something like that. Or your character secretly wants to go to this other location because he's working for a rival group and he wants his group to be able to ambush you. Stuff like that. And the group, like every time they move, they sort of have to like discuss. They can even split into, like, let's say one group wants to go this way, another group wants to go this way. They can do that in the game. Players can split into smaller groups or stay in one big group, stuff like that. So yeah, so this is the game. I'm calling it the Hunting Party. I could also maybe sometime do a video on how I actually made these cards, which I mean, these are all prototype cards. It turned out actually kind of bad on some of them, especially like when I started on these monster cards. Like look at this one right here. This one got like, the operation did not go good at all. But I mean, it sort of has a cool like effect or look to the cards though too. It makes them look really grungy, which kind of may add to the game or not. I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. The Hunting Party hostile cards and the hunting occupation cards. And then so the other thing I got to do is do like a board. I actually have 32 locations mapped out and stuff, different things planned at those locations, so players have to like travel between the locations. What else can I say about it? It's a lot on dice too, because I mean, you could always, even with like your best fighters, almost like let's say you roll 1 and you roll 1 again and 1 again. I mean,